Hello, welcome to this video. My name is Allie with A. Marie Speaks, and as titled, this is the Level 6 uh, final video for my Energetic System series. I have sort of decided to clip it short, and thank you so much for anybody who has been with me through all of these, I think like 50-something videos already, or yeah, 40-something maybe, oh, close to 50, I forget. But obviously 6 levels that we have already worked through, and if you've been with me through the journey, thank you so much. I hope you've gotten as much work out of this as I have. If you're new, welcome. You can certainly listen here to this closing video. I hope it's inspiration and motivation to go check out level 1 and work through the foundations of energetic systems and what it is to be an energetic being, and learning about your energetic truths and how to operate your energetic system. And of course, then learning about what systems are and how the torus in itself is actually a tool that systems use to transmute, change, and transact and exchange energy. And then learn how to use yours, right? That's what the whole system series has really been about learning about the rules and the guidance points, the structure of it, so that we can use ours better and that we could be better servants or stewards, really, to ourselves, and to be, better stewards and co-creators out there in the world, and to be a part of the systems that we want to align with, getting results and creating momentum, creating manufacturing productions, right? And all of these kind of things that we expect and we want, and getting the results and the repercussions that we are expecting. So yes, if you're, if you are new or you haven't seen all of them, I really suggest checking them out. This morning, I really am going to just try to, like I said, kind of give a roundabout ending to this level 6, the spirit layer. Also just do a little bit of recapping and summation, and I'm really doing this just for anybody who actually like watches and cares, has watched my channel. I have a lot of other things in the mix right now that feel really prevalent to what's happening in the present moment, that I just need to focus my energies on for a little while. And part of that includes, like I've been saying, creating these course books, these real walkthroughs of these kind of things that I've been doing videos on, like numerology and tarot, and of course energy systems and our systems. So in order to be able to dedicate as much time as I can to those projects, and also start this new other kind of podcast and video segments that I really want to start talking about, of course I gotta let other things go for now. So here today I want to a little bit just I know in the last videos I had said I was going to do the whole 101 regular, share my screens and do walkthrough with great visuals, and I just haven't had the time to complete every single one as much as I would like to in order to put the videos out. And I'm, thinking to myself, well, I kill two birds with one stone when I make the course book in itself, because all of those infographics and things that I'm working to put forth are actually going in part. Here's some corrections and other things, but whatever. Most of them will be a part of the course book. And so I just figured, why hold off on the videos from coming out when I know that course book's going to take me quite a long time to finish anyways. It's like a wintertime thing I think it's going to be done by. So yeah, I am going to not do a whole walkthrough, and I'm trying not to utilize Zoom anymore anyways, and that's the one thing that I could share screen with. I'm going to try to figure out other recording ways and share screens and stuff like that for other videos in the future, but like for today I'm just going to show my notes, and I will take pictures of my notes too, and upload them on Telegram and upload them on the community tab here on YouTube so that you can look at them a little closer, because I don't know how well we'll be able to see them really. But it comes down to, and honestly, it's difficult, so difficult to draw and explain these kind of things on a 2D piece of paper. And I'm not very artistically gifted, I'm just a regular average artistic talent, So it's even more kind of difficult for me. And with the risk of sounding redundant, of course, I don't want to keep going over sort of the same metaphors and examples that I've already talked about throughout the whole series and in the last couple of videos of level 6. And so what I kind of want to do here at the ending, and make sure my ending is actually a new beginning here, is really honor the limited capacity of sight that I have, and the limited offering that this whole series has been. This series is really just a gateway and threshold to so much more. It's the tip of the iceberg, really. And I'm just offering that, my tour of this tip of the iceberg. And really, it's my hope and intentions that others will see it, want to go do their own discovery, make their own maps, dive off the side, go see the whole, underbelly of the iceberg, and do good diving on your own and see what you find, and see what are truths to you, and bring things back up to the surface that are new, and share with others what they are, share with me what they are. We build better understandings of the whole that way. And through the discovery, the learning, and teaching, and research, and just exploration that I've been doing in building this idea and example of what a spirit layer could look like, right? It's opened up so many doors for me. It's opened up so much connection, new understandings, and infinite things that I never want to ever put out the assumption or the air image that I have some kind of full offering here of this end-all be-all. So with that, I think it's great to leave this video as like a beginning. Here, take the spirit level into your own world and go find what you find within the spirit layers of yourself, your inner world, of your direct world, and those people who are directly involved in your world. What do their spirit layers sound like? What do you find in those co-creative spaces for you? Because every day and every moment is new. And open your mind up to that and see what you find. And it'll align with all the things that have already been talked about in all the levels. And you, wow. This is playing out in that way. I can, find new corrections, troubleshooting, offer great harmonious solutions, see where other people's kind of hiccups and disruptions and issues are much clearer, because I have, spent time looking at my own disruptions and catalytic things, and working with those characters inside myself, sort of, to get a good feeling for that, and to be a good mediator and a good middle point between extremes, and a good listener, right? To learn to be patient with those aspects and know that they kind of have values. That's why we focused first on the inner core, right? I would have loved, and for an alchemy level people, or for people who haven't been dropped into the matrix like most of us incarnated are, super distorted and manipulated, breaking out of slave programming from negative overlays, right? Most of us are breaking out of that and trying to detox and purge and find ourselves again. But for those who have found themselves, it's a whole other potentiality, playscape offering available, and becomes available. And as we do the great work and peel these layers back and learn more about it, you can learn the spirit layer first, and I would love to be able to, and we would be able to kind of dive into the spirit layer first, because that really is that 0 point. It connects every single layer. It's every communication between, right? The spirit layer is undescribable and unspeakable in itself, because it's all things, just like the ether, the space around us, the void, imagination space, all of those things are aspects and archetypes, characteristics of that, what I'm calling the spirit layer. And what you can designate as that and leave it open and be surprised by what you find and how it speaks to you and the languages available in that. And not only just in your inner world, in your direct world, but there's the spirit layer, there's the external third party reflection worlds that you can explore and understand and find out what they are for you, and learn where the barriers are and the sacred boundaries and how they're porous and how they do interact, and how you can call forth and communicate between them and call into your direct world things from external down into direct and into your inner world, and how they have a direct connect and communication, both the light and the shadow within you, and how both light and shadow reflect out into that spirit layer, because spirit honors both and holds space for both, because it's the third party. It's the flow and the lemniscatic between, the action and the stillness, between the external toroidal and the inner core, and between the positive and the negative flow and polarity and all of it. All of the happenings are held in this beautiful envelope of the spirit layer. And it's difficult to speak about and unique because it's ever changing and pulsating and flowing. When I started to try to make diagrams about it, like I said, very difficult. But here, I'll give a couple of examples of different metaphorical diagrams of what I'm trying to talk about. And this is sort of one of them. Wait, let me turn my light so that it's not, see if we can get not shining bright, but enough that, well, try to, maybe this way. Yeah. Now, this is basically just a grid cube. That's all I'm trying to express here in this visual, is this is sort of a gridded cube. And this is a 2D version, one segment that could sit inside of that. Like 10 blocks when you were a kid, you know how we had the 10 and then the hundreds block? A bit like that, except that it's like infinite intelligence in its non-tangible, sort of coursing through conscious awareness potentialities, choice points, flowing and changing. And when you try to draw that, it's difficult. And the other thing that's, kind of happening here, and I'll show this other kind of version as well, that I've tried to kind of hold an idea on. This is more of what a playscape could kind of look like, or what our reality could kind of look like, because not only do we have a regular sort of dimensionality to move through physical dimensionalities, we have densities as well, and those densities hold space of frequencies in between, the literal manifestations of what could actually form and take place. And then here I've kind of made this like a gambling game, mind, body, spirit, mind, body, spirit. And it's like all of the choice points hold the three within them. And the three combinations of the three times 3 is 9, right? And we have this beautiful numerology truth here to tell us that that grid, the mind, body, spirit, to look at things as this triad of creation, like I've said, is that the creator-observer mind, creator consciousness and the power of it, designates that, and it creates each choice point as it wants to, as it sees it, and makes it difficult to define. And the other thing that makes it most difficult to define is the 3 times 3, the tripling of the layers, because it makes each choice point available. That 1 through 9 entire sequential potential is held, right? The right to discovery is held within every choice. The full discovery of whatever the thing is. But catch-22 within that is, of course, that when we line out 0 to 9 on a number scale, the 1 through 9, and I've talked about this numerous times with numerology, you can break that into infinite discovery should you choose. You can spend forever breaking apart just counting between 1 and 2. If you were counting 1.00001, 1.0002, and then trying to count all the way to 2 like that. Take you a very long time versus just saying 1, 2, or even 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, right? There's so much available when we understand what diving into discovery means, what fractals mean when they contain the essence of the whole within every segment inside of it. And our cells, our body, are like that. The whole system's the toroidal is that. And every choice point that's held out in infinite intelligence out there is like that as well. It just has different parameters of expression that are allowed to it. It's holding different numbers, within the placegate, that it can only allow X, Y, and Z formations between it. Because creator consciousness has deemed that so. And we just need to understand which version, how far away or how high up you need to be along the chain of observer consciousness to see clearly enough, right? Because all perspective, it's this telescope of diving through different layers of consciousness. And I have this little other doodle here that I've tried to, and I will make a better expression of this, but it shows mind, body, and spirit in these 3 different layers and how we cast out our reality, creating, or not really creating, but intermingling in the co-creative space that's already there of creator consciousness, in imagination space, in the collective consciousness, in the void. And all 3 of those beautiful layers of the spirit layer all have positive and negative contributions, all have a playscape available of positive and negative exchanges and give and take happening. They want to seek their balance and the best harmonious solutions to the strongest version of their layer through. But it's also happening, intermingling in this triad, this 3, 3, and 3, the tripling. And distortions, when we have distortions happening at an exponential rate like that, you understand how things get carried away quickly. But you also understand how important and how beautiful clarity is, and gaining of clarity, and seeking honesty, and how clear clarity becomes, and how truth and oneness really is the only thing you can get back to, Another, I think I've shown this one already, but I'll show it again, of this sort of idea of how we're co-creating all these snippets of time and memories and space, casting out our realities here out into, this ever happening, pulsating toroidal of external happenings. And we have these beautiful different 3 versions of perspective, right? We have first personal individual, where we see a choice point across in the roads here. It's very obvious to you what your first person view is. We have the third person observer, like the humanities role, where you could see the collective of humanity, and that really gives you a pretty good view of like where the choice points could kind of take you, the long view of the road through your community, space and time, right? But we also have, of course, the larger community, the collective, we have when we get out into conscious collective and into the role of the observer. And that really shows us pretty much as we'd like to see. But it's also, we have to remember that vision, it does have capacity and is distorted and tainted by whatever we're looking through our eyes right now. Whatever the lens that you're using to view all that stuff has initial distortion, your own distortion. And again, this is why it becomes difficult to ever make like actual diagrams and things, because so I'm just looking for other ones. Because it's ever changing. And when I started to talk about creating it and talking about the spirit layer as a flow and this lemniscatic figure 8, I had a long working in time trying to even incorporate and understand that, many years, and then it came, and then I got it. But like I say, and I've said many times, and I'm expressing to my wonderful teachers and all those who help influence me, I'm a slow student. I am in need of seeing things time and time again from many different angles in order to really incorporate in my own way for things to snap and click for me. Once things snap and click, I can really jump on a ball and I can get things going and I can see innovative ways and I can bring newness to things a lot of times. But it takes me quite a while to finally get it, which is why, I struggle through school a lot until I learn that about myself. But as I'm doing this, I'm learning this in multiple different ways. So yeah, and trying to explain things like the spirit layer, metaphysical concepts like ether and ever-present potentiality, and how we interact in a co-creative space, how we influence each other is so unique and dynamic. So again, I love leaving this as kind of an open exercise and whole open series, and like create your own adventure, choose your own ending kind of thing. Take it in your hands and go build it out there. Love to hear where you're taking it. Love to have feedback. Know that I will be returning totally to this series. That it's infinitely beneficial and so prevalent, and that it's brought me, to exactly what I'm going to be talking about even more. We'll talk about that quickly too. The other examples that I love, and I've been creating, and I want to work a good diagram on to talk about the spirit layer and the metaphor of the stars and the sky above us, and how in information as light, and us as plasma, electromagnetic plasma bodies, just like a star. But we're so close to each other that you can't get through the earth shine. You can't through the angel shine. We're so entrapped in each other's shine that we see through and see the shadow. But if we step back, we still could see it. Anyways, so this is like a bit of the different layers here, and this is like your inner world, and this is your direct world, and then this is like the outer world, of course, And I split it into, of course, our 3 layers, and this we've been talking about the whole time, but this is sort of like what the torus is, your system is, mind, body, and spirit, and the different layers, and this is like the sacred boundary, and we call forth and send through, just like any other cell of exchange. When we look at it, there's interaction and exchange happening, except that these are all pieces of enlightenment or love. They are nutrients, like molecules of air that your body needs. They are information your mind needs. It's a hug that your heart needs. It's other people. It's so it's everything. And oh yeah, this is another one I was kind of looking about, diving through the layers of consciousness, right? And how we have all of these different lenses available to us. And as you work through meditation, as you do the systems work, and if you've been doing it, why I started with the inner world and started with the inner core and getting into first understanding inner systems, then bringing that inner knowing of introspection, of sovereignty, of inner worth, the value, loving yourself, getting those good connection of your purpose going, then talk about the body and get into the body, is to teach the diving of consciousness and to teach your capacity for the mind to dive inwards and to create through imagination space, through, introspection work, or whatever you want to look at it as, creative meditation, or really, truly, spiritually diving into these systems and meeting them and having real conversations, actual dialect with third-party entity that is of a different conscious layer than you are. Doesn't matter, and it's amazing whichever layer and levels you choose to take that work inside you with. But I think to get into the body and to learn that work teaches the realness of how you can dive into different layers of consciousness, and then we take it out into the imagination space and learn about how you have infinite availability to you in the thought realm, right? And then eventually being able to step into bigger things like remote viewing, or being able to get into the Akashic records, or being able to have conversations with people from spirit realm or your higher self. Those things all become available when you know how to go up the chain instead of down the chain of consciousness, which comes through practice, of course. Now, the last thing I'm going to end with kind of is a word of cautions and loving like a friend, extending out helpful hints and loving words of kindness and assistance. Please do the inner work first. Find your true callings, find some self-love and care and forgiveness for yourself before you flip that lens and start diving externally. And before you take a look at what spirit realm looks like to you, what the external third-party realm is, what remote viewing or conscious collective looks like, and please be mindful and respectful of shadow. Do shadow work and only do external, or try to be mindful of doing external seeking in the astral realm, or flipping that view and doing remote viewing, doing anything that's external seeking during light times. When you're fully charged, when your sovereign light's good and great, when your boundaries are strong, and when you can get out there and do good work. And enlist good aids to you and personal archetypes or saints and angels or whatever you work with. Be sure to ask for their invigoration and protection while you're doing external seeking, especially at these times here in 2024. Because the collective reflective is supercharged, and they really are knowing and watching and aggressive at this time. They're very inflamed, and any kind of poking at them, they're overreacting because they know that their time's coming. It's too light and bright, and yeah, we feel great because it's light and bright, so you might be ready to just want to kind of take on those rabbit holes and want to go save the world, or want to work on external people or others around you. But really, just always know that actually we should just be seeking for ourselves, finding our own truths, seeking out externally ways that we can improve our inner world in our actual direct worlds, not trying to seek out external corrections or do work externally involving external others, because the collective reflective is highly distorted at this time. And yes, our light is super bright and truth is resonating out, but the truth is resonating from Mother Earth and harmonizing with us as a collective. And it resonates very close to Earth's spirit layer and her body. And I mean her mind. Her mind's body, not her body, her body's layer and its reflective layers are where the collectives get a bit hijacked. And I'm going to show this sort of drawing. I'm going to make this drawing so much better. Eventually help me with the, help my Canvas skills and my drawing skills online here. But this is sort of what I have. And like I said, I'm going to share a still image of this and take pictures of it so that we can see it better. But to understand that each entity, and Earth is an entity and it's herself. Of course, we're intermingled on her. We're cells of her, perhaps living on her. I don't know the exact dynamics. It's much larger. My humble human brain is going to get my cellular level here. I'm trying to grasp the great body, but I'm like a single cell trying to understand myself, right? It's beyond the capacities. But I'm a humble student. And for me, what I can understand, and I've talked about sort of, let me see if I can find the other diagram, is how communication dives through the layers. And the way that it happens is sort of like an echoed, looping chain. And now, of course, I'm not going to be able to quickly pull it up. Oh, here it is. This, I think I made a better one. This might be the original, very messy one. I think I made a better one here. But if you can see, I have created these layers, this inner core, this layer, and this more external layer. And you can see sort of, I have the arrows around it. Now, I'll read it to you since you can't really see it. But like I said, I'll share pictures. I know I have a better path, layer of paths through. So incoming input passes through the layers. And as it passes through the layers, right, it is discarding and collecting that which either it needs to send out or it needs to take with it. And like I said before, and we've talked about this, it all has to do with the inner workings of your systems or your outer systems, depending on what's going on. But they all operate based on truths, based on these the one truths. Either they're positively aligned and they're seeking positive alignments, and therefore they know their one truth, and they work in a surplus abundance of positivity, always having enough and exchanging nicely in a positive flow that encourages and enables leftovers and freely offered give and take, free communication of that, what needs to be exchanged, taken away, or given. There's a free flow of information and communication in a positive setting. And all the laws, as from big to small, every process and every manager and boss will follow the laws within their truths. If it's negatively aligned, then it has a service to self priority. It has a segregated service hierarchy built into its truths, and it has segregated its one truth, and therefore it's not following the one truth. It has productivity alignments and truths that have hoarding and storing involved and worked into its truths. It doesn't think it's enough. It doesn't last forever. It has to save. And so the exchange and input that comes through, the discarding and collecting of information that I'm talking about through the layers, that has save as much as possible, save something for each of us, don't tell them exactly what we have, sort of, it has shadow worked into it. Because both of the parties have a self-service incorporated into their interaction, that they see each other as distinct other, right? Not as other part of whole, and we're sharing, and whatever's left over we'll have for each other. No, we're actually separate. There is not really a whole, and whatever's left over, I either get or they get, and it's like YOLO, you know, money in the grave or whatever, which is not true. It's false lies, and it's created off distortions. But sometimes it has workings, and we have balanced systems within. This is why within the great organic system that we are, our inner core is organically negatively aligned, because we need to have service to self functionality. We need to actually serve ourselves before other people. The body does. You know, the body can't breathe air for anybody else. You're not pumping blood for anyone else. They're serving the self. But the overall polarity, when we incorporate that we are three parts, it's not just the inner core at work here. The inner core don't set everything. Doesn't, you know, it's not a boss above all. It's part of the triad. And of course it serves itself, but it has great incorporation with the spirit flow of overall balancing for a whole. And so the self it serves is a divine reflection of every other self. It is a divine connection to God's source. It is a fractal of all others. And you serve yourself just as you would serve another. Yes, you would breathe a breath for another if you could. I would heal your wound if I could. I would heal your broken heart if I could. I would pump your blood for you if my heart could. These are the things that as our body does its service, each cell says. Because the cell knows no boundaries. You take a stem cell from any other organ, and you place it in, it's going to do the work that it's made to do with the other organs. It does like service, because yes, it does serve the whole, no matter who it's placed upon. You know, just like a mailman brings the mail to everybody in the community, whether he likes them or not, you know. That's the difference between services. And this is the thing about collecting a polarity, and this is where the spirit comes into play of exchanging the happenings and witnessing how the incoming input is passing through the layers. And so it comes through the layers, and it passes through the body first. It passes through the external, that which is outwards, closest to other is the body, right? It's the most external of all. Passes through the body layer, comes into the mind interprets it, and takes what it needs to take from it, what the happenings have coming in, and then after it takes and releases what the mind does, it passes through the spirit layer. And the spirit layer is the interconnected 0 point of the portal. And in the torus of the happenings, you know, it isn't the external donut happenings of the external service, and it isn't the inner core vortex of the passing through. It's that immediate inner core center piece, the portal in between. It's like 0, 0 on the graph. It's nothing and everything. If you didn't have it, you couldn't have a graph, and yet it isn't even part of the graph, really. It's the center point. You can't even, it's plottable, but not, right? And that's why it's the direct connect, and it's the lens, it's the look through. It's the instrument we talk through. It's the telephone line, you know? And it's also a mirror, and it allows you to dive inwards or outwards, or to stay in the chain and just go around again. So it's like a highway to take the exits upwards, or to take the exits downwards, or to just keep going through the same segments of work that you're in that layer. And with that happenings, it bounces back. The spirit reflects into mind again, and if you've chosen to go around and take a course off, you've dove through spirit into the external spirit layer. And then you get into the external spirit layer of that other accepts you. The mind then interpretates you. And then the mind passes it into the body. The body receives it, and the body passes it again into their mind and into their spirit layer. And then their spirit layer decides what to do with that information. And same thing with your body. If you choose to dive inwards, right, it goes through the body, the mind, the spirit, and then bam, you hit the inner layer, and the inner, wherever you're diving into, and through their spirit layer, you can get to the mind boss, and then you can get into the physical workings of their external body, or whatever their external work is. And then that external, you pass through back into the mind spirit. It's this echoing sort of cycle that information passes through, and it collects a momentum depending on whether it's negatively or positively charged along the ding 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 line. And that sort of creates the resonance of whatever excuse me, whatever the working is. And that overall creates a spectrum of charge, and then you can live within this sort of spectrum of charge, which in itself is ever changing, and that is the spirit layer, and that is your spirit in that polarity, that ever changing, pulsating flow is the spirit layer. Oh, last thing, which I forgot about here with, okay, a little too, be careful, was they want to cut me off before I do my word of caution, is that when you dive out there, like I said, there's some mechanisms, and I have drawn them here, and I'm going to get more into these, and I talked already sort of about these before I even did my systems series, when I talked about the archonic overlays. They really have the collective reflective, this hijacked area. So be very careful when you're doing external seeking. Be careful who you bump into. And also, if you are receiving communication after the fact, be very mindful, because there are rules that go along with positive and negative interactions. And when we talk about interacting with other, and we talk about getting into spirit realm, and we talk about having conversations with other or seeking information out there from third party, it's important to be mindful about what kind of interactions and when they're coming in. There's rules of thumb, and that's why I have done this whole energetic system series. And so I just want to finish in the finale here to remind and speak clearly about them. Specifically in exchanging with others, other that is not of you in your first person view here, in your sacred boundary. You, as a conscious creator and a sovereign right to your own sacred space, you, if you're operating positively and seeking organic interactions, you offer out light and love like a signal, a calling, and it has a positive resonance. It's freely sent out, seeking. And that is like opening your line up and saying, hey, it's okay. I'm open for an answer to this, or I am seeking truth in this. And that creates an open, okay, uninfringing, positive channel of communication to come in and out, both directions. And you hold that kind of space open. When you receive input after that, know that that kind of input and seeking, depending on if you're not infested with shadow, that's what I'm saying, if we're organically aligned and you've been doing work, this is for people who alchemy level doing work here. When you receive input, that input is positively aligned. It comes from a positive area in the playscape out there. And I don't know, and I'm not trying to say that I even know anything about out there. I haven't done enough seeking to even say that. This is why also I'm leaving this like a cliffhanger. I'm a humble student here. I'm speaking on things that I don't know a lot about at all. So this is from my own private point of view, from my own sacred teachings of perspective and things that my guardians, my ancestors and angels, and my truths speak to me and know that we need to be doing, and that I honor. And my friends here, if you're listening to me, thank you for your time, and I'm offering this as a true friend of working warning and cautions, right? We can trust and we can understand and hear and listen those things that come in when we've aligned in that type of positive seeking. And there are ways and places and space, and I'm learning to try to live and incorporate and be in that essence a lot of the time. But that has taken many years. The best things to do is to do that at segregated times of meditation, prayer, and I'm still doing it. It's most best done like that, and with others too as well. If you could get together with others who can do that, it can be supercharged, and great work can be done at that time. Great answers can be found, and the negative cannot infringe at that time. No negative infringing manipulations and lies and distortions. Those who seek to distort you, because they are there. That's why I said before, be careful, because it's both sides of the field are playing on the game. It is a game, and it's free to play, and you can choose your sides, and you can be used as a puppet. If you don't want to be, and you want to find light and truth for yourself, it's always available, and you know it best. You know it only, and so stick with that. But go into those times and close those times. And I taught that, and I still teach that so much, and I do that in my own light and shadow work, and it's so helpful even now. Now I'm learning to have more porous boundaries at certain times, and to live in more openness, and I think we'll all get there. But depending on where you're at, and if you're starting or new, please do it at segregated times, and only at times when you're charged with good light. Spend your time doing shadow work. Get in the inner core, do the inner work. There's infinite amount of work to do there until you're really strong enough. Or around others who have good light too. And learn, and go to the gym with them, and learn from them. And pick up your frequency and your light and supercharge yourself. But close the sessions. And be sure to revoke consent and to close that. And to say that I do not allow any sort of infringements into my space. Energetic, information, light. You can make them up. You can create through everything. I just like to say through my mind, body, spirit complex. You're not allowed. Any energetic inputs of any type are not allowed unless you are of positive frequencies. And to practice and to really create a strong lattice work of light and love, a strong filter around you of that, even in all ever-present moments, and past, present, and future, all times, and to invigorate that all the time. Because the thing with the negative is they seek to infringe, and they are constantly looking for a hole in the screen. They are constantly looking for a doubt or a worry or a shadow in you to call out for seeking. Because the second the shadow opens the door of the back door, it opens that latch, because it doesn't notice nobody's around in the backyard and it wants attention. It opens the back gate. It has free right to do that, and free right to call that forth. But it's because you're not been paying attention to it there in the garden, right? So you need to make sure that you're giving the shadowed aspects the accurate type of attention that they need, not enabling them, not getting into them and letting the screaming toddler drive the car home because they're crying. No, but you doing the breathing through it, you being able to cut out the screaming toddler and just sing along to the music, or however you need to get through it positively to know that you're going to get home, but the traffic, you can't just jam your way through traffic while they're crying in the back seat, There's ways that we learn to deal with those shadow aspects of ourselves without, deciding, oh, well, I'm just going to drive right off the bridge here and kill myself and my kid because I can't stand the crying anymore, But shadow will tell you that's a choice. And we need to be mindful, because the shadow, like I said, is very loud. And that's what they're seeking, because that's the energy they feed off of, and that's because it's the lies they tell themselves. And their lies are coming to an end pretty soon, so they're really amplifying them, and really it's life or death for them. So please be careful in your seeking. Please be mindful. Be sure, if you can, like I said, envision yourself closing up those channels. Envision yourself bringing in all of your energy, or just say, cutting off the connections, or however you'd like to view it as. But be sure and be mindful to do that after you do any sort of exploration like that, out into conscious collective, or out into spirit realm, or meditation, or any of that. Really bring yourself back, close all the gates, and be sure to just give yourself the rights and the sovereign proof and say, I do. I have dominion over my space, and I'm not going to allow nonsense. I'm not allowing BS. I'm going to try to find what feels good for myself and seek my truth and the best, highest good of myself. And that's the only thing you need to do to really seal the gates against evil, bad things happening to you, any of that. It's none of it is rooted in anything true. And once you really realize that and just choose to honor your own truth, no matter if it's hard to get through, difficult, happy, enjoyable, or sad, let it be anything on the spectrum, but just seek to honor it as it is and then find the best way through. That's the key to really all of it, and empowering yourself, and to making sure that, you're not going to be infringed upon by sneaky shadows. Very manipulative these days. Or as least infringed, because they're there. And like I said, even people who've been doing it for many years like I have, or even people who've been doing it longer than I have, it's always there. That's the point of the playscape here. That's part of the roles that are ingrained into what we're doing here. So be respectful of it, but also, don't enable it. Stand for yourself and know that you are bigger than it. And no matter, the size of the flame, it doesn't ever put the darkness. The darkness could never put it out, Now, I've gone very long. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much if you've watched the series. If you haven't, I hope this is a little bit of inspiration for you to go and check out the other levels. There's great workings. There's wonderful meditations to go along with inside discovery and outer discovery. I talk all about the Taurus as a tool and give lots of great exercises and examples about that, both personal life ones and things that are general that you could do in your own time. And lots of videos with infographics and walkthroughs with diagrams and stuff to actually display what I'm trying to explain. So if you're a visual person and you're looking for that, you can look through my playlist, the Energetic System series, and look for any of those ones that say like Discussion 101 or educational video or lecture or whatever. A lot of those I have infographics through Zoom with that I go through. So if that's your thing, you could check those out. If not, you find other videos on a bunch of other things on my website. I'm here on YouTube, or you can find other information on my website, amariespeaks.com, or follow me over on Telegram at amariespeaks. I put all my links to all my different platforms and stuff over there. That's really probably the best place to keep up with what I'm doing if you want to. But yeah, thank you so much for your audience. Thank you for your beautiful contribution to our collective. We wouldn't be the same without you, of course. And thank you as I thank myself for this time. And for the whole series, really. I'd love to hear anybody's opinion on them. If you're interested in getting any of the infographics or anything, send me emails. I'd love to hear your opinions. My email will be in the description, or you can send me a message on Telegram. So I'll talk to you next time.